What's good, Liberators? Fingers here, and this is Dx2 Demon Review, and today we are talking about the dude heard round the world, the one band we hope we never, ever hear a playing, the Fiend, the Trumpeter, angels with trumpets that appear in the book of Revelation. As their trumpets sound, the stars will fall. Fire and disaster will consume the earth as it turns into a living hell metal. Let's check out the stats and see what makes this fearsome beast so fierce. Now, he's a nice hybrid of magic and ailment infliction, and any of you who did a run on Tokyo Abyss Season 1 can attest, he can be quite the cunt if you're unprepared for him. He's got baseline magic of 197, or of 207, 207, so not bad off rip. He's also got a decent enough agility stat where you can run him on a speedy team. Starts out at 160, but you can crank that up to 180, and any demon whose agility you can get to 180 or so, you can slot into your speedster team and still get speeds of up to 50k, 60k using your Cardicas and your other speedster demons to compensate for their middling agility, but not bad. And he's also got decent luck, 162. I've topped it off at 182 to make that mute attack he has especially silencing. And he nulls light, useless, nulls dark, useless, not weak to anything, muy bueno. Let's check out the skills. The transferable concentrate enters a state of concentrate, making his next magic attack 125% damage. So it's like he's hitting twice, plus a little bit extra. And if you run him with Templar Dragon, that 125% turns into 150%. So that is something to consider if you are running this guy, and if you are going to try the Concentrate Apocalypse double tap, which is very fun and was very common way back when, because Trumpeter is a OG gacha exclusive who has since fallen out of favor. Tragic, I know, but it happens, and that was a lot of fun to see in action. I never used it. In fact, the only reason we're talking about Trumpeter today is because I have had this guy for I don't know how long, and I have never once used him. Not even in a leveling quest. I stuck him in Demon Dispatch to get him to 50, and that's where he sat all the way to panel 3, and I only used him this week for the first time in a PvP video that I should have released by now, and that's why we're talking about it today. Moving on, his second skill, Soul Drain, inflicts almighty magic damage on a single enemy while healing the caster 40% of damage dealt and draining 1 MP. Okay. I mean, the skill's decent enough, but at a cost of 8 MP, good lord, that's a hefty cost for too little, too little bang for that buck, in my opinion. And for his unique skill, fittingly titled Apocalypse, inflicts almighty magic damage on all enemies with a 60% chance to inflict mute, power of 120. Not bad at all. If you're unprepared for this, mute can be devastating. While charm and bind, at least anecdotally, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but from what I've seen, mute is one of the more stubborn ailments to get rid of. If you stick your mute, it tends to stick. Now, of course, everything is a dice roll, but my gut instinct here is that mute is a higher dice roll to get rid of. And if you combine this with what's her tits, Xionyan, she's got a trait that makes ailments stick 15% more, or 20% more, or 25% more. I know it used to be like 50% more, and they nerfed it, and it was still utterly devastating. Once you stuck that mute, if she was your DX2, it stuck. So, fantastic. Great underutilized skill, in my humble opinion. I used to run a great mute charm team, and it was always the mute that stuck. The charms would just wash away, but the mutes stayed strong. And it's only got 4 levels on it. If you level it up to the maximum, plus 20% chance to inflict ailments, not to damage, but the mute infliction plus 20%, and the crucial -1 MP cost to this skill. And if you have him paneled, this becomes even more crucial. I've got him in the Psychic archetype, which gives him Auto Rakakaja, buffs your defense for 3 turns at the beginning of a fight. Not bad at all, especially if you're going the PvP route. And speaking of PvP, that is why I have him with Speedster. As I said before, his agility is decent enough that you can slot him onto a speedy team. So I said, what the hell, let's speed this guy up, because he's got ailment infliction rates all over the place. He doesn't need any passives to help him out there. So I went with Speedster there, and of course the classic Enduring Soul, which seemed thematically appropriate for this apocalyptic herald. As for brands, these are the brands I had him with in that PvP video that should be released by now. I don't know, because who can keep track of these things? Divine brands, so I could get that Concentrate Apocalypse off turn 1 if the intimidating stances allowed for that. So gave him the Divine brands, and I needed him to be in slot number 2, so I had to give him those lead brands to ensure that he was slot number 2. And it worked out better than I expected, though. Ailments these days in PvP I find to be a losing proposition. Your random team cannot function with an ailment team. There are too many teams out there that just plain nullify ailments. The Moiray sisters, if each of them has panel 2, they are immune to all ailments. Your Hyper Beelzebubs, if he's got panel 2, he is immune to charm, mute, bind. In other words, the useful ailments. And there's just too many other demons like that. There are still plenty of Dice Sujos out there in the wild. There are plenty of those Vishnu clones, the SMT for redesign. I forget what his name is. You know, he clears ailments. It's just far too common. Ailment defenses are far too common for this to work on a random team. But for a revenge team, or if you're picking your targets, fantastic. You can have a blast with it, which I did. I was running an ailment team right up until the Moiray sisters came into the mix and shut that shit down. As for the Spirit panels, panel 1, plus 15% chance to inflict status ailments. I don't need to tell you how useful that is when Apocalypse has mute tacked onto it. Panel 2, and the reason I was running him this week in PvP alongside Master Therion, activates the following chain effect when entering a state of concentrate. Removes barrier from all enemies. If you're running ailment, that's always something you got to be a part of. Those ward brands used to be 100% of the PvP fights. You'd see everyone on the opposing team had ward brands on them. Nowadays, as I said, a lot of demons, not most of them, a lot of them, at least a lot of the common PvP demons, just have status ailment immunities baked into the cake. So they are less common, but still, they are there. So breaking barriers is essential if you're going to run ailments. You got to make sure you got some way to break it down. And with Trumpeter, you get the double whammy of Concentrate plus Barrier Break if you have this panel 2. And it's for that reason I would recommend going for panel 2 off rip. Not only does it give him that magic attack boost, but you get the Barrier Break. Very nice. And as for panel 3, what I would say is essential if you're going to use him in PvP, and this is the reason I tagged him in this week, reduces the cost of Concentrate by 2 MP. Concentrate costs 6 MP naturally, so this makes it 4 MP, meaning with Divine Brands, you can Concentrate and then Apocalypse, assuming your Apocalypse is fully leveled. Turn 1, you can double tap, Concentrate, drop the Apocalypse bomb, which if you're running Templar Dragon can be especially vicious. Even if you're not, still very, very potent. Although it will not cut through those Enduring Souls, etc., etc. But that's why the team I ran this week was so fun, because Trumpeter was able to bomb some fools, and then right at the end of our turn, Master Therion's 666 fractional damage would kick in and wipe away anyone who was brought down to that Enduring Soul range. Very satisfying, very fun to see. And also, as long as this demon is alive, minus 25% to enemy mute auto cure rate, making a stubborn ailment even more stubborn. If you're running with Xiaoyan, she's got an ailment mute increase as well, so it will pretty much guarantee that that mute isn't going anywhere. And you're good. If you've shut them up, they're shut up for good. And before we wrap it up, let's check out his other archetype skills, who all seem to escape me because I've never really invested in Trumpeter. I've never really paid him much mind until this week. So let's see what else he's got. The Origami archetype, thematically appropriate. Judgment. Inflicts almighty magic damage on all enemies and increases own party's attack by 20%. Okay, pretty cool. Cost of 8 MP, which is brutal. But if you level it up, that 8 MP comes to 7 MP, which is PvP 7 MP. That's still a hit. And you're sacrificing your Apocalypse for this. But still, not bad. Power of 100, not bad. 20 less than Apocalypse. But hey, if you're trying to pump up your other team, do some damage, pump up your team in PvP, if your skills can perform a double function, buff and attack, heal and buff, anything that combines efforts, concentrate plus barrier break, that's the best money you're going to find in PvP. Making the most of every half press turn. So, hey, this is a way to go. If you've already got your Rakakaja set somewhere else, hey, why not? And just for the thematically appropriate nature of it, why the hell not? The Protector archetype, again, thematically appropriate. Almighty attack, demon, birth, cry, inflicts almighty magic damage on all enemies and reduces enemy attack by 20%. So it functions the same way as Judgment, just instead of buffing your attack, it nerfs your enemy attack. And the minus 1 MP, the MP cost, all the same. So hey, you want to debuff instead of buff? Boom, you've got that option. Pretty cool. So far, I'm saying even keel. Even keel on all of these. I like them all. And, well, wait for it. The Psychic Autorakakaja, which we discussed, and the big loser, the biggest loser of big losers, the most useless archetype I have ever seen on an archetype. The Elementalist archetype, Resist Fizz? Are you... Good Lord. Now, fair enough. This is a product of its time. He's an original demon. Every demon didn't have physical pierce. Back in my day, the only demon with physical pierce was a Psychic Mara. And that was all you got if you wanted a pierce effect on a demon. There were 3 demons with a pierce effect. Psychic Koholin, Psychic Cert, and Psychic Mara. Those were the only pierce effects you could find in the game. So this, fuck you Elementalist archetypes. Just die. Sega, do something about this. You're having fun with your panel 4 reinvigorations, the old demons. Some of these archetypes need a serious consideration, in my opinion. And that is about the end of that for this mighty fiend, who, when panel 4s come about for these boys, which they're coming, boys. It's a coming. In fact, when they introduced panel 3s, if memory serves, it was Alice, Trumpeter, and Yoshitsune who were the first to receive panels. So, no doubt, these guys are coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if these 3 were in the next wave. So, buckle up, and who knows what's next for this Herald of Destruction. Don't get captured.